anything.
The devil's greatest trick isn't spectacle, it's subtlety. Evil doesn't break down the door. It exploits the cracks already in our foundation, our ambition, our grief, our pride, and even our most fervent faith. Today, we pull back the curtain. We are going to take you through 8 modern horror classics that serve as a masterclass in demonic manipulation. In each one, we'll pinpoint the single critical red flag that is so masterfully disguised, most people miss it entirely. We will give you a field guide to recognizing the kind of evil that hides in plain sight. By the end of this video, you won't just see these films differently. You'll understand the art of temptation like never before. Ready to see what you've been missing? Let's begin.
Nefarious.
We have forgotten how to recognize true evil. What if it sat across from you as a man and calmly explained its strategy for damning your soul? This is the challenge in the 2023 thriller Nefarious. On the day of his execution, death row inmate Edward undergoes a final psychiatric evaluation. His evaluator, the confident atheist Dr. James Martin, is prepared for a standard assessment. But the inmate claims to be a demon named Nefarious who knows all the doctor's secrets. What begins as a routine interview descends into a tense battle of wills, where the doctor's own skepticism becomes the demon's greatest weapon. And here, the demonic red flag isn't a pitchfork. It's intellectual pride disguised as reason. Nefarious needs no supernatural parlor tricks. He wields a sharp, infernal logic that dismantles the doctor's worldview from within. The true red flag is the creeping realization that our own certainty has made us blind, giving evil the perfect opening to state its case, knowing we will dismiss it as mere delusion. Nefarious acts as a stark warning. It argues the most dangerous lie isn't one the devil tells us, but the one we tell ourselves. That we are too enlightened to be deceived by an evil we have already decided doesn't exist.
The Shift.
Consider the promises that offer an easy escape from your suffering. What if evil didn't arrive with threats, but with a tempting offer to erase your pain simply by choosing a different reality? This is the test at the center of the 2023 sci-fi film, The Shift. We meet Kevin, a man living a happy life with his wife, Molly. After a crash, he meets a mysterious stranger, the Benefactor, a devil-like figure who can travel the multiverse. The Benefactor banishes Kevin to a grim, totalitarian reality where faith is outlawed. Now, Kevin must fight for survival, desperately seeking a way back to the woman he loves. It's in this hopeless world that the true danger reveals itself, as a tempting whisper of relief. The demonic red flag is the offer of an easy way out. The Benefactor promises an end to Kevin's suffering, offering him power, wealth, and even a new, compliant version of his wife. This deception works by reframing unwavering faith as pointless pain. The flag is that quiet, reasonable voice suggesting you should stop enduring and simply accept a deal that trades eternal hope for immediate comfort. The Shift serves as a modern parable on the Book of Job, warning that evil's most convincing argument is the quiet offer of a world without pain, if only we are willing to trade our faith for it.
The Exorcism of God.
Consider that your past sins don't just haunt you, they give evil a key to your door. This is the agonizing reality in the 2021 horror film, The Exorcism of God. We meet Father Peter Williams, a priest hailed as a living saint for his charity work in a small Mexican town. But his revered reputation is built on a lie. 18 years prior, during a dangerous exorcism, he was briefly possessed and committed a terrible, unforgivable sin. Now a demonic plague is returning, forcing him to confront the very evil that first compromised his soul. The true horror of this story takes root in the festering wound of personal guilt. The demonic red flag is the unconfessed sin that becomes a permanent foothold for evil. The demon doesn't need to break down the door. Father Peter's own shame and fear of exposure do the work for him. The darkness masterfully exploits his secret, twisting his good deeds into a desperate penance and turning his very soul into a prison, forever haunted by the ghost of his own transgression. The Exorcism of God is a brutal warning, suggesting the most terrifying possession is of the conscience. It argues no good deeds can save us if we refuse to confront the darkness we carry within ourselves.
The Devil's Advocate.
We follow Kevin Lomax, a brilliant and undefeated defense attorney from Florida whose ambition is legendary. His talent catches the eye of a prestigious New York City law firm run by the powerful and enigmatic John Milton. Milton offers Kevin a life beyond his wildest dreams, an incredible salary, a stunning apartment, and a place among the elite. The only catch? He must maintain his perfect winning record no matter the moral cost. The true genius of the deception here is how it camouflages damnation as a corner office. The demonic red flag is unchecked ambition. The devil doesn't need a pitchfork when he can offer prestige, power, and the sweet taste of victory. Milton never forces Kevin's hand. He simply provides the opportunities and the justification. He knows Kevin's own pride and insatiable desire to win will compel him to compromise his morals, one not guilty verdict at a time. The danger is the creeping realization that you are succeeding only by becoming a version of yourself you no longer respect. The Devil's Advocate serves as a chilling, timeless warning. It argues that the path to hell is often paved with our own celebrated virtues when they are allowed to operate without a conscience or moral compass.
Exorcism of Emily Rose.
The story begins with a gavel. A man of God is on trial for murder. His case a battle between two worlds, medicine and miracles, psychosis and possession. This is the gripping crossroads of the 2005 film, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. We are thrust into the trial of Father Moore, charged with negligent homicide after 19-year-old Emily Rose died during an exorcism. His agnostic lawyer defends his spiritual actions against a prosecution arguing for a medical explanation. They claim Emily was simply a victim of epilepsy and psychosis, and that the priest's ritual is what ultimately killed her. This film puts our modern worldview on trial, its demonic red flag being the cold arrogance of reason. The danger lies in the court's refusal to acknowledge a spiritual reality. The prosecution relabels Emily's torment as psychotic epileptic disorder, a diagnosis that feels safe and manageable. This certainty of science becomes a blindfold, dismissing a spiritual crisis as a medical anomaly, and leaving a soul vulnerable while the mind is simply medicated. The Exorcism of Emily Rose offers no easy answers. It's a haunting reminder that in the clash between faith and reason, our conviction that we know everything may be the very thing that blinds us to the terrors just beyond our understanding.
The Witch.
Picture this. You are utterly alone, cast out into the wilderness. Your only shield is your faith. But what if your faith becomes the very weapon that destroys you from within? This is the terrifying heart of the 2015 folk horror masterpiece, The Witch. A 17th century Puritan family is exiled from their colonial plantation due to the father's intense religious pride. They build a new life on the edge of an imposing forest, determined to prove their purity to God. But their isolated existence is shattered when their newborn son vanishes without a trace while in the care of his teenage sister Thomasin, snatched by a spectral evil from the woods. As their crops begin to rot, so does their trust in one another. The true demonic red flag here is the family's own suffocating piety turning into a poison. Their obsession with sin becomes a lens through which they see only darkness in each other. The frantic prayers and paranoid finger-pointing all mask the deeper horror. They are a family devouring itself, and their own religious fervor is the knife in each of their hands. The Witch is a chilling folktale that warns how blind faith, when twisted by fear and isolation, doesn't protect you from evil. Instead, it can become the very thing that opens the door and invites the darkness inside to feast.
Hereditary.
The most dangerous lie is the one we tell ourselves to survive unbearable pain. We call it grief, we call it trauma, but it might well be a door left open for something to come inside. We are talking about Ari Aster's 2018 film, Hereditary. The story begins with the death of a secretive matriarch, leaving her daughter Annie and her family to navigate a fractured, unsettling mourning period. The home is already thick with unspoken resentments and a history of mental illness. But when a second unspeakable tragedy strikes, the family's private pain begins to unravel, revealing something far more sinister at play than just sorrow. The true terror here is the emotional decay from within. The demonic red flag is the exploitation of trauma. The supernatural forces at play are invited through the door by the family's inability to confront their pain together. Evil finds its foothold in their sorrow. It masterfully turns their guilt and rage against one another until the very concept of home becomes a source of unbearable dread. Hereditary is a chilling portrait of emotional carnage, warning that the most fertile ground for evil is a broken heart. It argues that the demons we fail to confront within our own families can leave us vulnerable to the ones waiting outside.
Saint Maud.
At what point does unshakable faith become a dangerous delusion? When the voice you believe to be God's is only your own loneliness echoing back at you, where does devotion end and madness begin? This is the haunting psychological territory of Roseglass's brilliant 2019 debut, Saint Maud. We follow Maud, a quiet and intensely devout palliative nurse living in a dreary seaside town. A recent and zealous convert to Catholicism, she believes she has been saved for a higher purpose. She takes a new assignment caring for Amanda, a famous terminally ill dancer living a life of hedonistic defiance. Maud quickly decides her sacred mission is to save her soul from damnation, by any means necessary. The horror in this film is a slow crawl into a shattered psyche. The red flag is a faith born of trauma and profound isolation. Maud's desperate need for a divine purpose makes her dangerously unreliable. Is the ecstasy she feels the touch of God or a psychological break? Evil doesn't need to whisper in her ear when her own fervent prayers demand a sign, any sign, to justify her increasingly disturbing actions. The danger is a faith so private it has no one to challenge its descent into fanaticism. Saint Maud is a deeply unsettling character study. It serves as a terrifying warning that without the anchor of human connection, a desperate search for salvation can lead one to create their own private hell, mistaking it for heaven right up until the final, horrific moment. So there you have it. 8 films, 8 different battlefields for the human soul. From the unchecked ambition of a lawyer to the isolating grief of a family, from the unconfessed sin of a priest to the blind certainty of a scientist, we've seen that evil's most effective weapon is never a monster, but a mirror. It finds our weaknesses and masterfully disguises them as our strengths. If this breakdown opened your eyes to the art of cinematic temptation, then please do us a huge favor and hit that like button. More importantly, we want to hear from you. What other movies have you seen where the demonic red flag was brilliantly hidden in plain sight? Are there any films you think should have been on this list? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. We release new Christian movie reviews regularly. To make sure you are notified the moment a new review drops, be sure to subscribe and click notification bell. And if you are ready for even more Christian movie reviews, watch this video we created for you.